You don't get to choose who your supervisor is or who your peers are. They're chosen for you by career field and putting all things aside and accomplishing the mission. And so I've taken that mission mindset into most things that I've done prior, after service. Blending those three, I think communication is number one, if I had to rate them. And then technical skill obviously is right below that.
Yeah, I mean, even if the guy's a high performer,
Yeah, they could be kicked butt.
if he's not right for your culture and he brings other people down, that's not a good fit. For you as a leader, perhaps you can share a challenge you've faced in keeping a project on schedule, on budget. How did you tackle it?
Well, and I'll tell you the secret.
Today on the Uncentered Podcast, Camilo Rentaria's journey from serving in the U.S. Air Force to leading in the construction industry is a testament to mission-driven leadership and a community-focused vision. Armed with the discipline and leadership mindset forged in his military career, he co-founded Bravo Companies, a service-disabled veteran and Latino-owned construction and development firm. Let me start that again. To bring innovative, efficient building solutions to life while opening doors for fellow veterans, minorities, and underrepresented communities. In Indianapolis, he is reshaping the development landscape by combining a West Coast-inspired drive for innovation with Midwestern reliability, emerging as a high-touch, execution-focused partner in projects that shape the built environment. Camilo's hands-on leadership and unwavering commitment to purpose have made Bravo Companies more than a business. It's a platform for community impact, creating opportunities for fellow veterans and minority professionals, and redefining what it means to build with intention and integrity. Camilo, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. Thank you for having me out here.
Oh, my pleasure.
It's a pretty nice drive, and you have a really cool office.
Oh, thank you.
I do love it.
Thank you very much. A lot of people watching this probably haven't seen my office, so now
That's pretty sweet. They'll have to come out.
So me being a vet as well, I am super interested in how the military has kind of directed you in what you're doing right now. Could you share the story of your transition from serving in the U.S. Air Force to eventually becoming a construction entrepreneur? Like, what were the pivotal moments or motivations that led you from military service, including a stint in agriculture, to launching Bravo Companies in the development and construction world?
Yeah, that's a lot. And I appreciate you having me out and sharing a little bit on the transition, because I think that's a big thing. I'm actually in a program called Venture Vets currently that supports veterans as well. So if any veterans are wanting to launch into business and transition from active duty or reserves, and from being an employee to an employer, there's a great program called Venture Vets that kind of sets you up with all the tools and the people you need, the resources. It makes them readily available. But yeah, the transition and the things that I learned, the lessons learned in the military, I think the biggest one was being able to work with anybody. I think the military really prepares you to play well with others. It's kind of like sports. You don't have a choice who's in your boot camp. You don't have a choice who's in your unit. You don't get to choose who your supervisor is or who your peers are. They're chosen for you by career field. And it's kind of fun. It actually teaches you to be adaptable, which is a big thing in entrepreneurship. You have to be adaptable. You have to learn how to talk to anybody and everybody. And you have to learn how to ask for help.
It certainly teaches you how to work with people you don't necessarily get along with.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
Whether it's your peers or your bosses, or your employees, your subordinates. In the military, it's subordinates, but here in the civilian side, it's your employees. It's the folks that want to work. That you might not always. You don't need to love everybody you work with. The whole family thing, they don't even teach you family. In my unit, we didn't talk about being a family and all this stuff. We just talked about the mission, putting all things aside and accomplishing the mission. And so I've taken that mission mindset into most things that I've done prior, after service, and it makes it easier because you can take a lot of personal stuff, and when you don't want to wake up and do the cold calls as a business owner, you got to figure out how to make cold calls, right?
Sure.
I was already in sales, jumping into construction, and then realized that I had what it took based on my experience in the military and just the drive to want to, make decisions for myself. I had decisions made for me for a long time in the military, and that was great. It taught me discipline. It taught me how to be regimented. It taught me how to create systems. You probably use some systems maybe today.
Sure, absolutely.
You checklist everything, right?
Sure.
sometimes.
Most things.
Yeah. And one of the things that from the federal government or the military is checklists, everything. You could take an 18-year-old off the street, zero experience, and turn him into a operator of some sort, whether it's operating firearms, operating tanks, because you checklist it. And so even founding my business, I've been checklisting a lot of things. I just hired on some project engineers for the summer, and I have a little checklist for them that they do every day, and it's helped them. They feel like they already have a ton of experience in just a few weeks under their belt, and they're like, "Oh, well, I could run my own little job site." Obviously it's small, but yeah, the path wasn't easy, and I don't really remember when I decided, but I knew that I wanted to own my own business. Um, and transitioning from the military, I know I wanted to make more money.
So it sounds like both money and autonomy were your motivations for starting Bravo companies.
Yeah, so I gave a long-winded answer. The short version is I wanted to control my destiny with Bravo, and I also wanted to provide opportunities for others. And I think, like every other business owner, I think I could do it better.
Sure.
Every business owner thinks that. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. If you think you do the same thing as everybody else, I don't think you would do it.
Right. No, I agree with you on the checklist. The one difference that I've made from military checklist to the checklist that I use is that I also try to give my employees a bit of autonomy as well. So those minimum checklists, those checklists are simply the minimum expected. That's just like, this is the least you have to do. By all means, put in extra effort and intention behind it.
Yeah, help make them better. I think that's awesome, Matt. And it's interesting. I want to ask you, how did you get started? Where did you get? But that's a different podcast. But yeah, then I did do a short stint in agriculture that also pushed me into being an entrepreneur. It was through family, several thousand acres in California.
Wow.
Ended up brokering some deals with a part of my job in agriculture. Not only were we raising walnuts, that sounds weird, but they're a fruit crop, which doesn't sound like a fruit, but it is a fruit.
Yeah.
I found out, and it's a walnut crop, specifically organic, so it's shipped around the world. And I learned how to broker deals with wholesalers, basically like a Costco, Walmart, Whole Foods, is that's where we were funneling product into. And so it made me realize, okay, I want to own my own business, because I found that I wasn't reaping all the rewards. So I'm like, I need to get a piece of that.
Is that where you got your sales experience from?
Yeah, I've always kind of been a salesman since I was a kid. I sold candy bars out of my locker.
Fair.
I flipped things. I'm sure you did. A lot of entrepreneurs, they kind of have that start. They sell lemonade on the street, or they mow lawns.
I sold baby hamsters.
Oh my God.
That's a different podcast. When you founded Bravo Companies as a service disabled veteran and a Latino-owned firm with a mission to uplift underrepresented communities, what was your vision for the company at the time, and how do those core values of inclusivity and excellence shape the projects you pursue and the way you run your business day to day?
Yeah, it's funny. I grew up, just a backstory before I say any of the things I want to say.
Sure.
I grew up not realizing I was different than anybody else. My parents they're like, hey, just work hard, be better. If you don't make the team, it's not because of any other reason other than you just sucked. And you can do more. And so that in mind, I also realized that I wanted to create a company where I could focus on hiring vets, Latinos, but then I didn't want to get stuck on that, because we need everybody. I think in the military, you realize there's people from all walks of life, all colors, all religions, all preferences, whatever. And we need every one of those people, because they all bring a different perspective. And so I wanted to create a company that allowed that environment where you could be anybody you'd want to be, but just be a professional. You want to have, orange hair, you could have that as long as you look presentable to the client. If you can perform, I don't care. It's actually, I was thinking merit-based, but also opening up doors to people that are from different industries too. Like, I came from the military and jumped into construction by accident, and I think I've picked it up really fast. My short 5-year journey, and I think,
What was your job in the military?
I was an aircraft mechanic.
Okay.
So I was a crew chief. No. So I was a crew chief, completely different, but it's project management. It's very details focused. There's a lot of engineering. So there are similarities, and I think that part of the reason I wanted to start the company is to represent more. I hadn't seen any big CM firms that are Latino-owned, so that was one thing, and I didn't see a lot of veteran-owned CM firms. So I thought, wouldn't it be badass to be both and bring in everybody, create the A team? Obviously, it starts small, but it ends up being big because I think the passion that I have for the work that we do and the opportunity to let people lead as well is what makes me want to do what I'm doing.
Do you try to seek out people with the same passion?
I do, yeah. I do try to find people that are drawn to the branding, the culture that I represent online, on LinkedIn, on our website. Uh, and if it doesn't resonate and they're not interested, that's okay. They could be really good at what they do, but we want people that are also passionate. Obviously, we know this is, it's a job. We have a job to do, but there's also like opportunities to grow that I'm trying to help my team, even though we're young. I'm trying to push them to get their certifications and different things. So if they want to leave in the future, they can go start their own thing. I want to empower the folks that are working for me, and then people that want to stay with us long term. Shoot, we got to figure out how to continue to make them better. However, that is through physical, fitness opportunities, personal development, better gear, better safety gear, um, more money,
Mhm.
that
Awesome.
kind of stuff.
Very cool. So Bravo Companies has a focus on projects in sectors like healthcare, life sciences, civic infrastructure. How did you choose those areas to concentrate on? And what opportunities or challenges do they present? Can you give any examples of how working in these sectors aligns with your company's strengths or the needs of the Indianapolis community?
I think the healthcare and biotech, life sciences is an easy one for me because when I was in California before I moved here, that was a big focus for my role was to find opportunities in healthcare, and so in order to get into those, I had to learn how to be more technical. I had to actually understand what doctors are going through. I had to understand what the administrative folks are going through as well, the operations folks. Um, and I realized they all want certainty in their job, so they want to be able to perform their job. Number one, and construction for us, it's our world, but for them, it's a nuisance. They don't wanna do it, they have to do it, and how do they get it done as fast as possible so it doesn't disrupt their life? And so what Bravo brings is, an attention to, um, not just detail, but communicating with the client so that they feel certain that we are going to accomplish this by this date. So we bring certainty, um, and we match that with high level communication, um, and then also making sure that people that are on the projects are qualified, to perform the projects. So blending those three, I think communication is number one if I had to rate them, um, and then technical skill obviously is right below that,
Mm.
um, and then I've just had a I've just leaned into wanting to be in healthcare, and life science just because it's a secure market, or it's a secure vertical that no matter what's happening in the world, we need healthcare.
Sure.
And it doesn't have to be a hospital. It could be MOB, it could be offsite clinic, it could be a phlebotomy place, just clinics for anything. It could be an optometry group.
So there's plenty of opportunity there. What kind of challenges do you face specifically in those sectors?
I think the biggest challenge is delays in schedules,
Yeah.
delays on trades, delays on uh, material. That's a big one. Obviously, not the same type of delays right now in 2025 like they were in 2020.
Oh, sure.
Logistically, those were a nightmare. But yeah, I think the biggest challenge also is finding the skilled PMs that I'm trying to bring, the skilled project engineers, because they're all employed. So we got to either create more, which is one thing I'm excited about, is creating more of those people. So bringing young talent, helping them grow up, and hopefully they stick. If not, then they go out to the industry and they represent us well and say, "Oh shit, we want to steal Bravo companies, Bravo Construction Group's project engineers, project managers, because they just get stuff done, or for a better word, they get shit done."
So part of you, it sounds like some of your challenges are going to be keeping people from being poached by other companies.
I think
Because
so because
okay,
yeah. I mean, the goal is we grow up these. We have some young folks coming on that they're quick learners. they're going to do well. I think they all have people skills, which is a really, really hard thing to teach. It's a soft skill that is not, it's teachable. If you're an engineer though, like you have a lot of hurdles to climb unless you're already naturally a people person. But I think
there's some out there.
there's a lot. They're rare.
Yeah.
They're like unicorns. They're awesome though when you find them.
Absolutely. I completely agree. So you're not just constructing buildings, you're also building the community through leadership roles. For example, the Construction Industry Education Foundation. And when you're mentoring, and I'm sorry, I might have started this question over again. You're not just constructing buildings; you're building the community through leadership roles. For example, through the Construction Industry Education Foundation in Indiana, and of course, mentoring young professionals. Why is engaging with the community and the next generation of builders so important to you?
Yeah, I've always liked volunteering for things, and I used to do it when I was in the military. It started even before that. My mom taught me to serve. I used to hate doing it, actually. I would complain the whole way. My mom's like, "We're gonna go do a canned food drive." I'm like, "No." Um, there's a million things that she got us into, and so I thank my mom for instilling in me a sense of community and selflessness when I'm like, "Oh, I'd rather be hanging out playing Xbox." So she's like, "No, we're going to go pick up trash. We're gonna go do this. We're gonna go here and there and everywhere and serve the community." I'm
That's
like,
amazing.
so it was kind of annoying as a kid, but now I'm like, oh my God, my mom taught me so many cool things.
Yeah, good.
I'm so lucky. Like I complained the whole way, and now I'm like, and I sitting here thinking about it. I hadn't even thought about it until right now. You just asked me. I'm like, oh shit, she's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So how that transferred here and why it's important for Bravo is, and why I serve with CIF is we can't just own businesses and not give back to that industry through workforce development because we have less and less skilled people in the trades. I don't need to tell you the statistics, but I do know them because I'm in CIF. I'm actually the chapter president for now. We have some new leadership coming in, hopefully. But the goal there is, and the reason for why we do it is the goal is to develop more industry talent. It doesn't matter if it comes to Bravo or not. It can go anywhere. We just want to grow more talent. We want to give kids the opportunity to see the rewarding careers, challenging careers that are well paid. When I was in high school, I didn't know that these things were available. I didn't know that you got paid X, Y, and Z to do things in the field. I thought, my options were college because I'm a millennial. So back in the day, it was college or you're a bum or you go to the military or you become a firefighter or something. And so, yeah, I enjoy, and everybody that we're bringing on enjoys being part of these different groups and serving. I think that's one of the things that I look forward to is like, are they just here for a paycheck or do they want to personally develop? It's great to have people that are really good and they just care about their check. That's great. We have those everywhere. But I think a holistic person on the team makes the team better. They bring different perspective. Plus, there's all these client relationships that are formed unintentionally, but intentionally, volunteering and doing things in the community. But caveat, I don't do it for that. I just do it because, hey, I think it's the right thing to do. I enjoy seeing kids get jobs that are rewarding and handing out scholarships too. Like giving someone $5,000 as a scholarship. That's cool to see.
Sure.
It's cool to help provide that.
I don't think it's selfish at all to feel good about doing good things. So
I think it is. And you're right. I've heard too, like being selfless is selfish, but it makes me feel good to give things. So I keep doing it.
sure. No,
Like,
that's great. Recently, you decided to go all in and take Bravo companies full time with a growing team. What spurred that decision to fully commit and scale up?
yeah, I met with Luke Lysing from Guide on Architecture, the owner. He's also a service disabled veteran. He started that architecture group. Don't quote me on how many years ago, but it's definitely a decade ago and beyond. We met for coffee last year, around September, August, and he kind of punched me in the gut. And he's like, because I was just asking him questions like, "Hey, what should I do? I'm here. This is the crossroads I'm at. I'm thinking about doing my own thing. What do you suggest?" And he's like, "You're either gonna do it or you're gonna talk about it." Well, that pissed me off.
That's fair.
I
That's a fair
didn't like it. It was a good statement, and that's why he was a ranger, right? So makes sense. He says stuff like that. He said that, and I was like, well, okay. I don't like that. So he meant it in a good way too, but it was a good push that I needed to just jump over and go all in and say, all right, I need a plan. I need to start the business. I need to either pull a loan or finance it myself, which I financed it myself and took on a bunch of small jobs after hours. After my job, I would go and check on all the little projects that I had going. And then eventually we had enough revenue and money for me to just leave my full-time job. And I gave proper notice and everything. But it was scary. So going all in was like, hey, how many months of savings do I have to live to pay my bills until we see profitability? You've done
I
that.
know that feeling.
I'm still there. I am not gonna act like we're not looking at finances every week and like microscoping our projects. Well, because we are, and I don't think a business doesn't ever do that.
Sure.
But the will to survive and have our business move forward is huge right now, and we want to continue to grow because there's people that are asking to work for us. We can't hire them just yet because we need more projects. And then even as we scale, we need to be careful how we scale because we can get too big too quick and not have proper processes in place. So I don't want to jump over my britches.
So what is your growth strategy moving forward, and how are you balancing bringing in experienced partners and new talent while maintaining the culture and the quality of your vision?
That's a good question. I'm still working through that.
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure that out. I do coach with someone every other week. It's actually my former employer, not here in Indiana, but in California. He was an architect, but he was also the CEO of the GC that I worked for. And so he's been helping me like, he's been helping me not step on the landmines, metaphorically, probably physically, but metaphorically, like, hey, Camilo, don't, when you're thinking of growing, think of this and this and this. And so the strategy is bring as many projects as we can, but stagger them so that we perform well and then find the right fit. Don't just find any super or PM. Find the right fit. And that means that I hold off on hiring someone potentially, even though I need the help, until I find the right help. Because also bringing on the wrong person or partner that could cost more.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, even if the guy's a high performer,
Yeah, they could be kick butt.
if he's not right for your culture and he brings other people down, yeah, that's not a good fit.
Yeah, and then culture-wise, we're looking for just people that are already upbeat. I'm not looking for the grumpy, salty people. They're good, but once you get big, yeah, they can knock out the tasks. That's great. You gotta hide them from the public, though.
That's a feat in and of itself to find and hire veterans who are not grumpy and salty.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are grumpy and salty, but I think we have and we also have a morbid sense of humor, very dark. And so I, I warn people too that are coming along. I'm like, hey, just so you know, like obviously we're gonna take care of people and make sure that nobody gets offended, truly offended. But this office, these group of people that we're working with are brash. They'll say things that your civilians aren't used to hearing.
Oh, sure.
And they'll laugh if they see something terrible happen. They'll be like, oh, look at that. Because they've just been desensitized. So it's like balancing putting civilians together with vets because they like to say things that aren't always cool. And so teaching them also how to be not PC, but be presentable to the community.
Sure.
Like have a client facing attitude versus an inward facing attitude.
Hard workers, though.
Yeah, they'll get anything. They just get things done. You give them a task, and you don't even have to always give details. They're just like, okay, we'll figure it out.
They don't complain. There's
If they do it in like a joking way, and they get it done anyway.
Yeah.
They do it like in a like smart ass way, but they get the job done.
Sure. You've emphasized that Bravo Companies prioritizes execution and efficiency on projects. What does that look like in practice for you as a leader? Perhaps you can share a challenge you've faced in keeping a project on schedule, on budget. How did you tackle it?
Well, and I'll tell you the secret is I've adopted software, and I'm adopting a new software. So right now we're currently using Procore. We're going to switch to another one that is a software that isn't really available to many companies, and it was built by a couple programmers or tech developers out of California. They started their own GC and they provided their own software because they hated the software that was available. And it does all these things that you need to do to keep yourself on schedule, pay your trade partners, not subcontractors, trade partners on time, how to keep the schedule updated on properly. And it pulled all these things that Procore couldn't do into one. So leveraging technology for me is the biggest thing because I'm not perfect. I don't think like a PM naturally. I'm more of a salesperson, but I've learned to be a PM. So technology has been my number one resource to keeping projects on time. And here's the example. We had multiple changes happen on a project recently where the client didn't even expect it because they were unplanned changes. We found some stuff underneath we started cutting open a slab. We found all this stuff underneath the slab that they could never have known was there. We didn't know either because nobody scanned it. We weren't supposed to scan it either. They just assumed there was nothing there, and we were supposed to run some plumbing for restrooms. Anyway, open it up. There were so many changes, so many communications back and forth. If we hadn't have logged all that, if we hadn't have taken pictures and done daily site reports, it makes it so that I looked like I was even more competent than I am, because we're able to communicate the story of what's happening. We're able to track emails and allow an owner to look at something and say, why is there a major change order? Oh, here's the history. Boom. 10 days ago. And now there's a 2-week delay. Why? Oh, well, because of these things. Because the owner couldn't make a decision. But all that's tracked. So if you're not tracking that stuff, owners forget. They're not. We're a small piece of their daily life. Their job is to do what they do best. That's what we exist for. To get their spaces open so that they can perform their work for the community. We're an afterthought. And so we become a headache when we can't communicate what's happened, when we can't cover their butt and our trade partners' ass, basically, by not having documentation. And I think that's where a lot of contractors fail, is not investing in technology and teaching their people how to use it.
That's good.
That's a very long
That's a good answer. You've noted that veterans own over 1.6 million businesses in the U.S., but not many are leading in construction management. How are you working to change that through Bravo companies, besides just being a veteran-led business? And if you could, discuss your approach on hiring and mentoring fellow veterans and underrepresented professionals. So we've kind of touched on that a little bit, but I want to dive a little bit deeper into that.
Yeah, the way that we're going to change the landscape of more veteran-owned businesses, period, CMs, but period. I say the period because I'm trying to relate to Gen Z, because they say period. I don't know if you haven't heard that before. It's a joke. You know, when people say, and that's it, period.
I'm Gen X. I'm too old.
Oh my gosh. And I'm millennial, so I'm like in the middle of the two. So I got to try to bridge the gap.
You're the mediator.
I'm trying to translate because I got to know how to do the Gen Z and the X, which I already know that. But anyway, answering the question is, the way I'm doing it is not only by trying to bring on those people and train them and bring them to Bravo, but if we're not in a position to bring them along or it just doesn't make sense, it's plugging them into resources like a venture vets or me being a mentor directly for a young vet that wants to start their own business, or they could be older than me, and help them plan out how they're going to do that and like strategize on why it even makes sense for them to do that, right? Like they need to have business going. And the way that that I personally am mentoring folks is I'm a part of Alpha, Association for Latino Professionals for America, and a part of CIEF, Construction Industry Education Foundation. And both of those allow me to talk to so many students, college, high school, and post-college professionals that if they want to get into any industry, we can just talk through like, how do they do that? I can connect them with people I know because I'm a big relationship person, not networker. I like relationships, and I try to plug them into wherever I think makes sense. And usually it's up to them to figure out how to start the engine right and get those wheels turning. But I can at least put them in the vehicle and say, hey, you want to go here, here's the road. start here, here's a compass, and I'll give you a little map, and then you got to figure out the other points between there. But at least here's the way to get to that.
I completely agree that there's a totally relationship driven industry. Um, Most professionals in our industry don't Google the services that they need. They ask their friends, "Hey, who do you use for this?" Coming from a veteran background myself, how do you mentor veterans in the relationship aspect, or do you even try to put them in that kind of position where they would need to create and foster relationships?
That's a good question. And then here's the other part. Some of them aren't open to it, right? There's some folks that do not want to, they don't want to network or anything.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. And you've seen it. I mean, it happens in people, so they're civilian or not, vets, but definitely vets are not always open to mentorship or networking. But what I tell them is like, you at least have to know these people that you're trying to get into the industry with. And if you're not willing to do that and get out of your comfort zone, then you're going to have a hard time growing. You could be really good at what you do, but in order to take it to the next level, people need to know you, and you need to get out, even if you don't like it. And you don't have to BS. I think people they confuse relationship building and networking
With sales?
with sales, and they confuse it with like fake relationships. Like, you don't have to hang if you don't like somebody, you don't need to sit there and hang out. You just need to figure out how you can help them and how they can help you and add value back to each other. But if you're always just thinking take, that's probably not going to work. And I think a lot of vets, even in their career, or like even when I was in, they kind of teach you mentorship along the way anyway. It's built into the military. Sometimes it's like tough mentorship, not the fun kind. Then other times it's like genuine, like, hey, this leader just sees you struggling. They're like, hey, man, I'm going to pull you to the side. These are the things you got to do. This is when you need to keep your mouth shut. This is when you need to do this. I've had that multiple times because they're like, dude, we see your potential. You're awesome. But you need to shut up sometimes. You can't question everybody. You can't question leadership all the time, especially when you're enlisted. I was enlisted. Um, I was told several times, hey, you should just be an officer. You question everything. You talk a lot. Like, shoot, that's a good and a bad thing. It sounds like
Yeah, it's like, was that a compliment or an insult?
it was both. It was like, bam, bam, you're pretty good. We need you to start leading.
That's funny. We've talked a little bit about this. You're integrating modern construction methods like prefabricated solutions to enhance efficiency and design in your own projects. How do innovations or technologies such as prefab construction, new software, which is what we've touched on, or other tech influence your work at Bravo?
Yeah, I think depending on well, we won't get too specific because then you get in the weeds. But I think you need to know when to use those tools. Technology can always be used, but not. But there's also moments when you have your superintendent. It doesn't take technology for them to know how to build. Always, it's just their experience.
Yeah, for experience. Yeah.
The technology piece is more for communicating, for scheduling, for keeping everything profitable,
Checklist.
transparency, checklists, um, and transparency to the owner, transparency to myself, accountability. But you added another piece in there. There was one more question that I missed on. I don't know if you could repeat it.
Sure. How do innovations or technologies such as prefab construction, new software, other tech influence your work at Bravo?
Yeah, so prefab, the way it influences, I have several years of experience with prefab. It was very intimate knowledge that I have specifically for prefab buildings and for prefab interior construction. And the way that it changes my mindset is when I'm looking at something, I try to figure out how to use all the resources available and plug it in. Um, it doesn't always have to be profitable. In my mind, that sounds stupid to some people, but like, if the speed saves us, if I can offload some of the risk onto a prefab or modular solution and it speeds up the project, reduces risk, reduces time on site, it reduces manpower or physical power, labor, um, I'll take that as long as it doesn't add a huge delta for the client. Um, that's when it makes sense for me. And I think it makes the job easier for everybody. I don't think it's always comfortable for the folks on site because they like to see things a certain way. They like old school framing and drywall. But once you get a couple of those projects under their belt, they're excited because it makes their work really easy.
I can see that.
And you guys integrate a ton of technology as well. Obviously, you are a technology company.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you, I'm always looking for. I mean, there are set ways that we can use our technology in the industry, and I'm not going to go into depth because this isn't about me. But you're kind of like me. You mentioned that you take what you have and you try to find all the other ways you can use it. Maybe ways that haven't been thought of before.
Mhm.
But how can I take what I have, like prefab, for example, and really make the most out of it, or even find new ways to use it? And that's what we're very much the same way. So
Yeah, I think that's part of the military mindset. It's adapt and overcome. I'm not an army guy, but I think that's one of their slogans is adapt and overcome. Um, you use every single tool available and you just make it work,
mm.
right? I mean, if it's faster, do this. If it's safer, do this.
Sometimes we do try to screw a nail with a hammer. Doesn't always work, but
Right. I've seen, yeah, I have seen that. It's crazy. I'm like, wait a minute.
affordable housing is a pressing issue in many cities, including Indianapolis. From a builder developer's perspective, how do you think the construction industry can help address the need for more affordable housing?
Yeah, I think we were talking about modular and prefab. I know a lot of folks say it doesn't pencil out. Um, I think that if they find the right solution, a combination of modular plus conventional, you can see these products specifically for housing um, come up faster out of the ground. I think there's several companies here on the east side that do modular housing already, and I cannot think of their names right now, but they get used widely. On the West Coast, it was pretty common to see modular homes where they take all these stackable units and create an apartment basically like overnight. They're just craning them in. But then at the end of the day, there's still trades that come in and do all the infill work. They do their drywall, their paint, their cabinets. So like the majority of the floor plan is already set in stone, but they can infill it faster, um, speed up the schedule to get tenants in and get housing, like raise the amount of housing. Um, some of the things that I'm seeing here in Indianapolis too. I was on a panel the other day. Uh, there's more and more multifamily housing in the centers of cities, like city centers or like centralized multifamily, so that they have a walkable neighborhood. They call it like the 10-minute or 5-minute neighborhood. And you see that in downtown, you see that in Carmel, ton of new apartment buildings, multifamily. And right below all those apartments, there's usually a parking structure or there's a bunch of shops that are legit, like juice shops, clothing, food, things that make it a 5-minute city, right?
Mhm.
There's shopping centers usually nearby. They plan it out like that.
And you see them trying to do that with affordable housing now too, because I mean, Carmel,
Well, I shouldn't say Carmel.
you're thinking like Midtown Carmel,
Yeah.
great place. I mean, you can walk down, get some coffee, walk down, get some dinner, all from your apartment. But I would not call that a
Yeah, I wouldn't call that affordable. You're right. Fishers has some initiatives.
okay.
I know Fishers has that, and then there is a development happening in here on the north side, and I cannot think of the address, and I'm not going to say it because then everybody's going to go after it. And I'm trying to I'm trying to keep my eye on it
Sure, sure.
because it's going to be a development led by an army guy, ex-army guy. So now he's a developer, and wouldn't it be cool to have you, myself, and other vets all help build that?
Oh, for sure.
And they're gonna have a set amount of housing available for veterans. So they have like a set affordable housing for veterans. So that's even more niche, right?
Mhm.
And I think you see the need for housing for vets that are, just they come out with
Yeah.
they don't know what to do. A lot of people don't know what to do. They go to these jobs that are not paying them their actual value, but they're getting paid the value of the job, which makes sense. But they're not maximizing their actual value out in the field.
And a lot of them have never had to worry about buying a house, paying a mortgage and all that other stuff because it's always been provided.
Yeah, BAH, that's a killer.
Yeah.
It's that's one of the things that you can't teach people. If you go in as a 19-year-old, which I didn't, I went in at 21, thank goodness. So I had some life experience before I jumped in. But the folks that are going into the military at 18, 17, 19, they don't have a whole lot of life experience. They don't know what it means to rent an apartment before they go into the military. So when they come out, they're like, it's a shock, I think, and it's hard for them to find a job. It's hard for them to find like permanent living, and integrate back into the community. And but back into going back toward the housing, the affordable housing here in Indiana. I don't know how big of a push it is. I know that the city of Indianapolis pushes for it. I don't know how many developers are biting. I personally, I'm not building and have not pursued multifamily or affordable housing, but because of that project that I told you about, that's going to happen on the north side off of 31. So now I get more information.
So with this project coming, do you see the possibility of Bravo companies exploring this?
Yes, we will definitely do that. And we already have a couple of superintendents and project managers that we have in mind specifically for that project, and they're all veterans. One of them is actually going to be National Guard, and he does multifamily now.
Mm.
So he wants to come on board. I told him we'll bring him at the end of the year as we start to shape this deal up with the developer.
So as you go into exploring this space, with approaches like modular construction or public-private partnerships to make housing more accessible, what kind of innovative solutions are you seeing in that industry that people may not know about yet?
So specifically for P3s or private partnerships, I don't deal with them enough to give a really intelligent answer. Um, but I would say that I haven't seen the public funds be used for modular too often just because of the price point, the delta. Um, Even if it gets them to open up their doors faster, I think the upfront cost isn't always as palatable to the client. And so they probably lean away from that.
Gotcha. Thanks for that answer. Looking back on your journey, what's one major lesson you've learned on a job site or in a business that you'd wish you had known earlier? Maybe it was a tough project that taught you about leadership or a mistake that became a learning opportunity. And how has that lesson influenced the way you lead your company and execute projects today?
I need to be in the field. That's the one lesson that I learned. So I tried to run a project one time, not being in the field every day, or not every day, but um, often enough to keep folks moving along and keep the schedule tight. And it was my very first larger project last year, and I learned really quickly. I was like, okay, I need to either be there myself or I need to hire someone to be there. And I'm like, well, it's probably easier for me to hire somebody to be there, even though I don't want to always spend them. I'd rather pay myself, but in order to grow the company, I had to focus on bringing in new business, and I can't do that if I'm always on site. But it's very important to be on site, checking everyone, doing QA assessments, quality assurance, quality tests, just to make sure that the client's going to get the product that they're excited about.
Do you find balancing business development with project management difficult?
I do, I do, kind of, because coming from a BD background, business development background, I feel like I make myself too available. It's like 6 p.m. texts and emails about projects. I'm like, I shouldn't do that because nobody needs the trades folks aren't going to be there anyway. They leave at 4:30 or 5 max. So like, there's no reason to be doing all this stuff. And then I'm also meeting with people at 6 or 7 for a beer or dinner for BD, right? So like, you and I as business owners, we're also BD people. Not only do we have to go out and meet and go to golf events and do all the fun stuff, but now I see the other side of the PM side where I'm like, oh dang, I was out all day at a golf tournament and I still need to get all these emails done. I guess I'm gonna work till 10 p.m. tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely relate to that. So, on the lighter side, when you're not wearing the CEO hat, what do you do for fun and inspiration? Tell us something about Camilo outside of work, a hobby, interest, or experience that might surprise us.
I think one of the fun things that I do every day is I get together with some guys at 5:15 a.m. Monday through Friday, and we work out. I have a personal gym. I built it a couple of years ago. It's a 27 by 20 building. It's an actual building, not a shed. It's got AC, heat, loudspeakers, bunch of weights, several workout machines, and we just work out together. it's not like a class or anything, but that's the hobby, I guess. That sounds weird, but
No, that's a great
I
hobby.
don't have painting as a
Sounds
hobby
like a
right
hobby.
now. Yeah, I mean, it was like the healthiest hobby. I could either smoke, drink, or do something else, or I shouldn't say that, but or paint or do something fun, right? But to me, like working out with with my buddies, there's some vets too, so we just shoot the breeze. They're all from different walks of life. Not everybody's in construction, so it kind of makes it nice because we could just talk about random fun stuff that makes us all laugh. And then I do enjoy cycling. I got away from it the last couple of years and feel like it's something that I'm incorporating back now that I'm my own person and able to run my schedule. I also am swimming again. So actually, this morning I swam just 1,000 yards, nothing big. I mean, that's a warm up for a lot of people. For me, that was like, damn, that was a hard workout. Um, but I enjoy that, and um, I've cut down on the creative stuff right for now until I get my business really established with true leaders that can take the reins and allow me to just develop business.
What would a creative hobby look like for you?
It's a combination of I used to draw a lot, so I like sketching people, realistic things. I'm more like I like sketching like real life stuff. Like I could probably have sketched that on a pen and a pad. Uh, that's one thing, and then another. Um, maybe I need to discover what that other one is, but I think it all revolved around sports for me
Yeah.
and like fitness. Like fitness for some reason has been like a hobby for years. I've done it for years. I'm not like I don't look fit, but I'm mentally fit because I work out
Sure.
consistently.
Did that influence your perspective in the construction world at all?
Yes, it does because I think the more physically fit we are, the safer we are, the more capable we are to do hard things and be resilient mentally. I think the hardest thing about construction is it's mentally tough. The long hours, the back and forth with architects and engineers telling you you don't know what you're doing, and then they show up on site and they're like, "Oh, that's why you guys have to do it like this." Yeah, yeah, I know. It didn't look like the model, but that's what we got. And so I think it's dealing with that kind of stuff, interpersonal stuff, home stuff. Life happens. So I think being physically fit is like a foundation for me personally. It's just a daily discipline that I know I can do. And that's the only thing I can control is getting up early and just stumbling into the gym and getting on a bike or something and then lifting with my buds. And then everything else outside after that, I cannot control what the hell happens every day. I have a schedule,
It starts at
but
5:50 in the morning.
but it changes, yeah. And the schedule changes because people need things.
Sure. I get it. That's all I got, man. I really enjoyed this conversation.
I appreciate you, man. Hopefully, we can have an update in a year and say we have, 10 more,
Oh yeah,
10
I'd
folks.
love to see what Bravo Companies has done a year from now. So
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on on your podcast, and I'm excited to watch you guys continue to grow. I mean, I love your office, so
thanks.
I'd like to see 2 more additions with more color like this.
We'll see what happens.
Yep.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.